There's an intimacy that is baked into our understanding that we believe God not only to be creator of all things, initiator of all things, sustainer of all things, all powerful, all knowing, all ever present, presence around us, but we believe that this very same God listens. Despite the variety of things that are happening in other parts of the cosmos, as stars are collapsing and forming, as worlds are being made, we believe that the God of all creation hears the very prayers that we would lift up, and not only hears, but answers.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. We have come to thank you, Lord. I just wanna, come on, put your hands together like this.
Genesis 21, starting at verse 14, and it reads, "So Abraham got up early the next morning, prepared food and a container of water, and strapped them on Hagar's shoulders. Then he sent her away with their son, and she wandered aimlessly in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water was gone, she put the boy in the shade of a bush. Then she went and sat down by herself about 100 yards away. I don't want to watch the boy die," she says, as she burst into tears. But God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven, "Hagar, what's wrong? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Go to him and comfort him, for I will make a great nation from his descendants." Then God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well full of water. She quickly filled her water container and gave the boy a drink. One of the gifts that I want us to hold on to in prayer, number one, is that God sees this young woman on the run in the wilderness, runs into God. And when she runs into God, and God deals with her so kindly, she now adds a new way by which we've come to know God. She provides name for God. She recognizes that although she has come from a different pantheon of gods, she comes from a very different culture of gods, she recognizes that this God didn't have to deal with her. This God didn't have to look over her. This God didn't have to look out for her. But this God is something really amazing, because it must be a God bigger than just a small culture, because this God is not just talking to a child of Abraham. This God is talking to an Egyptian woman.
So thank you, Jesus. Hey, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jesus.
She comes to know God in a new way because how God bumped into her in her way. She was running away trying to be hidden, but bumped into a God that makes sure she was seen. Thus, she calls this God El Roi, the God who sees. And I don't know who needs to hear this today. I don't know what things you may be running away from, what oppressions may have arisen, what challenges may be all in front of you. But can I tell you that God sees? And that even in your runaway, he had you run up in here so somebody else could tell you that God sees, that this is now the voice of the angel speaking out to you right now in this moment. God sees you. You could be right next to the very thing that will transform all of your being. It could be just a stone's throw away. But if you start thinking that this is it, you will open your eyes and see provision right. Because not only does God hear and see, but God opens us to change the way that we hear and see. And this happens in prayer. This is why we pray. This is why we open our mouths. This is why we reach out to God, because you don't even know how close you are. Can I say this is, I don't know who this is for. You don't recognize how close you are to what God has for you.